Well, the U.S. Senate makes it clear you are to obey the Constitution, not amend it. Hello and welcome to Civil War in Hindsight. I'm Lieutenant Tommy. With me as always is Prospector Johnny. And this week, I'm kind of over it. Everything keeps hitting the fan. Yeah. The South is doing their thing. It's been stressful. I have switched over to whiskey this week because, man, I got 3 states that secede back to back to back. States taking federal property. I mean, at what point in time are we going to go to war? I don't even think it's a matter of if. It's a matter of when at this point.
I mean, really, absolutely. At this point, you have to do something to these states that are seceding. You can't just let them go and do whatever they want and take your stuff and create their own. Like, that's not what a country does.
And I have to remind everybody, Lincoln isn't in the White House.
Right.
Still not in the White House. He's been elected. He's the president-elect. But
yeah, but they haven't done the inauguration.
Still not even in it. Well, the week's going to start off with Alabama secession on January 11th. But if you really have questions about that one, please go look at our secession special, because we do talk about Alabama's secession in that. South Carolina is going to again start the week off by calling for the immediate surrender of Fort Sumter, and will be summarily dismissed by Major Anderson, who says, nah, not going to do it.
How is calling for surrender of a fort not like some sort of declaration of war? Like, shouldn't that be it? Isn't like, now do we do it?
I mean, yeah, they're calling for the surrender of, and I might give them credit for forts that are actually on state territory, like in the state of South Carolina. Fort Sumter is out in the middle of the water on an island.
Yeah.
That was always federal property. I mean, it wasn't state property at all. It's an island in the middle of the harbor. So
they're attacking the United States then, or demanding the
surrender of a United States fort. Yeah. Well, I mean,
that sounds like war.
It sure does. Louisiana is going to continue its illegal seizing of federal property when they seize the U.S. Marine Hospital below New Orleans. So right below New Orleans is a U.S. Marines hospital. It's a small fort, but it's set up as a field hospital. So way to take that, I guess. Feel good about yourselves for taking a hospital full of poor little sick orphan children. I'm making that part up, but you don't know.
Sure?
There might be poor little sick orphan children. Yeah.
There could be.
Wrong. Lincoln would write a letter to the Republican Congressman-elect James Howell and stated, and I quote, "Now we are told in advance the government shall be broken up unless we surrender to those we have beaten before we even take the offices. If we surrender, it is the end of us and of the government." So he's basically saying, writing to another fellow elect, like, they've destroyed our government before we're even in office. Before we've had a chance to even do anything, they've broken up our government and want us to surrender to them, to the people that we beat in fair legal elections.
Yeah, so basically they're saying, hey, this election's kind of bogus, or we're just not going to accept the results of it. We're going to start our own government and do our own thing, even though that's not how democracy works.
That's not how democracy works. I really hope future generations will learn from this event in this election history and try not
no
to
doubt
repeat
they will.
it. But no doubt.
No doubt. I mean, how could you possibly look back on this and see what's going on or what happened, and then do the same thing again? That would be insane.
Yeah. On January 12th, Mississippi's representatives in Congress withdrew from the House and issued artillery to Vicksburg to protect the city. So 2 points here. First, I hope you're going to pull your people from Washington because you seceded.
Right, yeah. So obviously, that seems like the right thing to do.
Get your people out of here before I arrest them, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
Treason. And then, of course, they take artillery and move it to Vicksburg, the city in Mississippi, which is a vital hub for everything. There's a rail hub that's there. There's the river hub that's there. It is a vital.
Now they moved those from within Mississippi to somewhere else in Mississippi, right?
Yeah, they moved it from the state. Yeah.
The congressman or whatever didn't bring it from Washington. That's good.
Yeah, they didn't bring it. They didn't bring it from Washington. They took state militia or state troops, artillery pieces,
they're
and just moved them
centralizing
into Vicksburg. to prevent federal intervention if the federal government decides to
Do
do something
something?
about Mississippi. Yeah, or do anything. Yeah, right. On January 13th, Governor Pickens of South Carolina asked Washington for $3,000 due to him as former minister of Russia. My response to this is, how about no? You seceded, you treasonous,
Yep.
arrogant prick. You have here. I don't care if I owe you $1,000,000. I'm not paying you diddly. And I hope that Buchanan sticks to his guns on that and doesn't pay him because, first off, this is what you're asking for, $3,000 in the middle of all the
Yep.
crap that's going on. That's what you want.
That's their main
$3,000 for
concern.
being the minister to Russia. Yeah, you got a cool vacation to go over to Russia and play with some bears, and now you're complaining that you want to get paid for it too. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When you secede from the government, you secede all ties that you had, in addition to any sort of money that may have been owed to you.
Beat us in the war, and then we'll pay you.
Well, if we start
That's
a
not
war.
a challenge. I'm sorry, President Buchanan. That's not a challenge. I don't. I'm not encouraging
Well, I mean,
war.
what's
But,
President Buchanan gonna do? He's sitting on his haunches, just waiting for Lincoln to take over anyway. He's not done anything this whole entire time.
well, and I'm glad that you say that because a temporary truce has been made between Fort Sumter and Governor Pickens as two envoys, one from Fort Sumter, one from one of Major Anderson's men, and one from South Carolina, would reach Washington, and they would say, look, South Carolina is agreeing not to attack Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter has refused surrender pending further orders from Washington, D.C. So both groups come to Washington, D.C. and say, hey, President Buchanan, what do you want us to do?
And he's like, I want you to wait until Lincoln's in charge.
President Buchanan is mad and says, why is there a truce? Like, what are you guys doing? And then issues no further directives to Major Anderson or to South Carolina. Just sits on his
No,
phone and
because
says,
why would he?
I don't know, wait, guys, just hold up for a minute.
Oh my God.
On January 14th, Louisiana continues to do their illegal seizure by taking Fort Pike, and at the same time, federal troops are moved to garrison Fort Taylor at Key West, on the coast of Florida, in order to prevent its seizure. If they hadn't put troops into that fort, you can guarantee you that would have been seized by Florida.
Right.
Later in the week, does some more of its own stuff. It is an important fort because it's off the coast of Florida. It's in the Atlantic and in the Gulf region. So if there is going to be a war, it will become a vital naval strategic point. So that's where
Right.
you want to have resupply for Navy bases, resupply for boats. If you're ever going to do a blockade, so to speak, you're going to need those forts off the coast to really hammer that blockade in. So it is very vital for the federal government to keep this fort, which
Yeah.
again, not in mainland Florida. It's off of Key West, so not in mainland Florida. So again, one of these situations where it's federal property and was federal property, and even though Florida has seceded 2 days prior, it's still federal
Right,
property.
that's still not theirs. Yeah, obviously. And, I mean, the Florida Keys, though, I imagine sometime in the future, a lot of people will want to go there if we get this whole thing sorted out.
Yeah, there might be a
Beautiful
song,
area.
Aruba, Jamaica, come on, pretty man. Yeah, no, that one.
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean-
sure there's a song that comes up. Yeah, yeah. That
was
probably gets.
close.
I made that song. You guys are welcome. 150 years in the future. On January 15th, Florida would demand the surrender of Fort Taylor, which was promptly refused for
Yeah.
obvious reasons, as we just
no.
discussed. Like, no, we're not. No. How about no? Come and take it. Shoot the first shots and see what
Yeah.
happens.
About don't, though. Because, like, maybe,
Yeah, don't.
maybe not.
Maybe let's avoid war if we can. But well, it looks like
I mean-
it looks like we're going there. We've got federal forts being garrisoned. States that have seceded demanding their surrender.
At
and the
this
federal
point, it's
forts
kind of
saying
shocking.
no.
At this point, it's kind of shocking that we've not declared war on them yet. And
Or
I
that
imagine it's
nothing-
because
yeah.
Buchanan is just chilling. Just wait until
I
it's
think
all
Buchanan's
over and
just
he can get out of
just
here.
waiting for Lincoln to take over.
He's
at
like,
this
guys,
point.
like what? A week away now? Like, what do we do? Get me out of here.
Like when? How long is it till I get out of here? Come on, please get me out of here. Talks continue in southern states for a confederation of southern states, and preparations were being made for that convention in Mobile, Alabama, that we talked about in the secession special. So
Yeah.
when
So they are
Alabama
starting to come
seceded,
together as their own country.
yeah, well, as when Alabama seceded, they called every slaveholding state to a conference, so to speak, to talk about building a Southern Confederacy, and now those talks are continuing, and actual preparations are being made for that upcoming meeting in February.
And now I assume that that meeting included the slaveholding states that have not yet seceded as well. Is that
Yes,
right?
all this.
Yeah.
It's every slaveholding
Every one
state
of
was
them.
invited to Mobile, Alabama, to talk about what they want to do, if they want to secede, if they want to join together as a confederation of Southern states, basically creating a Southern federal government that is separate from the Northern federal government.
Right. And so they're basically going to try to lure in these other slaveholding states, saying, "Hey, we'll let you go ahead and keep your slaves if you want to join us."
To join us,
and also
yep.
secede.
Yeah,
And also,
secede.
yeah,
That's
go ahead and
important.
take over some forts and stuff while you're at it, because we're going to need those later. So if there's any available, get them now.
And it's a good thing that I'm running out of whiskey because it's the end of the week, Johnny. On January 16th, the week's going to end with a Crittenden Compromise being killed by the U.S. Senate. Now, if you don't remember what the Crittenden Compromise was, because I know your retention's not the greatest, and it was several weeks back.
I actually didn't even remember hearing those words before.
Well,
But,
there was a Kentucky
what
senator
is
who was
it?
trying to, there was a Kentucky senator who was trying to come up with a compromise to avoid secession, to avoid war, to avoid
Okay.
issues to come up with. And his basic, and I'm going to summarize it very, very briefly. His basic idea was to create a amendment to the Constitution that says that slavery is legal in the states that it already exists, and that no new amendment or no new action can be taken to get rid of the slaves unless the slave states agree. So it doesn't really so much sound as a compromise as this is what we want, and if we don't get it, we're going to cry and go home.
Well, I assume their compromise would be that wasn't one of the big issues that the United States wanted to prohibit the expansion of slavery. So the compromise
Yes,
is like, okay, we'll not expand it,
Well,
but
no, because the Crittenden Compromise says that they'll allow the individual territories to vote whether or not they want
okay.
slaves.
So they do still get
it's
to
giving
expand it if they
there's-
want to.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no compromise here. They still
That's
can
not how you
expand if they want to
compromise.
expand, and it's just constitutionally protecting the institution of slavery is what they're asking for.
Yeah, and they're
which
basically
is,
saying, okay, well, it's fine because we won't make any of the states that aren't slaveholding states slaveholding states. That's what we won't
Yeah.
do.
That's their-
But yeah, we're
that's
going to
their
go ahead and
compromise.
keep owning people, and then any new states can decide whether or not they want to own people. That's
Yeah,
a
so
terrible
in-
compromise.
Yeah, and it goes up to the Senate floor, and the Senate says nope. But what they do is they adopt a resolution that says that the Constitution needs to be obeyed rather than amended. So essentially, the Senate says we're not going to do that. In fact, why don't you just go ahead and obey the Constitution
Right.
that's already written and
Yeah.
stop trying to change it, and we'll go from there. So the Crittenden Compromise is dead. There was another attempt at a compromise from the House of Representatives that kind of led the same way. It was the same theme, like come up with some
Yeah.
kind of constitutional amendment to protect slavery where it exists currently, and it was shot down for the same
The
reasons.
same reasons. Yeah.
And the very last little tidbit that I have to end out the week on such a high positive note is that word has it Arkansas has finished its bill calling for a referendum on secession. So we now have one more state that is calling for a vote on secession.
So that brings it up to
So-
5 total. Is that right?
Well, they've not seceded.
No.
Arkansas
But
hasn't
the ones
seceded
that are
yet,
like
but
actually voting and looking to, because we
no,
have South Carolina.
I also
Florida.
believe that Georgia and Louisiana have pending votes. So I think we have 4 states that have seceded, and at least 3 more that are in
And
the
3
pipelines for
that are looking
conversations to secede. Yes. And that's going to wind down the week again. Another week
War's
full
coming.
of illegal action. Yeah, war's coming.
It's got
War's
to be.
coming. That's it for this week in Civil War in Hindsight. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that like button. If you are one of those Southern sympathizers and hate my viewpoints on it, smash that dislike button and leave a comment down below. Or if you like what we're doing or dislike what we're doing and want to see something else, check out our Historic Hindsight podcast.